So I got my visa. All we've got to do now is fly to Valencia and find a flat. How hard can it be? How can it be this hard? This is living in a tent.
Next to the beach.
Next to the beach.
So we're in Cullera, living 5 days, renting an apartment here, low season, and trying to find a flat between Gandia, Valencia, and all this seaside, which is the Costa del Sol. So this is an apartment with a seasonal rent. It's a prime line in the beach of Cullera, and essentially belongs to someone, and he just rented for days or weeks, maybe even 1 month, and the price is always gonna change depending. But this is a low season, February beginning, and we pay for 5 days £200, which is pretty good, but obviously the price change depending on the season. This is what you pay for. So like this, 95% of all these flats on Cullera Beach, they're empty, available to rent for a very high price. As you can see, everything is empty because it's beginning of February, as I said, but obviously March is going to be the same. Still, it's a nice weather.
It's about 16 degrees right now.
Yeah. But the point is, there is no chance to rent this long term. There is no way.
Look, all these places, all these apartments, the shutters are down because no one lives there. 90% of them empty right now because they won't rent out to people, to locals. They won't rent out to people who want to live here for the entire year. June, August, triple the rent. They'll triple it. It's ridiculous. Meanwhile, we can't find somewhere to live. They're all empty, like one flat, one person living in this whole block of flats. All the shutters closed. And we're homeless.
So it's very difficult for people like us. We want to go back to Spain. This is my country, and I really found very, very, very difficult to rent a place here. I really don't know how we're gonna do it.
But we need to get somewhere more expensive. You're going to have to do OnlyFans.
Okay.
I'm joking!
Ah, mira, open. Chiringuito. Is it open? Yes, it is.
But she's after drink.
Gin and tonic.
Spain. So relaxing.
No es Alicante. I know it's not Alicante. I didn't say anything about Alicante. Oh, okay. Espera, espera, Espera. Es la chica de ayer. Jugando con las flores en mi jardín. Demasiado tarde para comprender. That we find at the beginning is been that there is a lack of flats to rent, mainly for two reasons. The first one is because the
Foreigners.
because the most of the flats are just for seasonal renting.
Because of foreigners.
So essentially, the rich
Foreigners.
come in here, buy a flat, and then they rent it for very, very expensive rents.
3 times the price.
Yeah.
So basically, if you want to rent an apartment, you'll be able to rent an apartment for, let's say, 800 euros a month. But then in June and August, it will treble in price.
Yeah.
Just for that. And then it'll go back to the 800 euros a month price. So you can't get anywhere where you can, but it's hard to find somewhere you can get long term for a whole year. If you want to live here for a whole year, it's hard because they want the money. They want to rinse the tourists for every euro they have.
Yeah, and the most beautiful areas in the seaside are gonna be seasonal renting. Just you're gonna rent it for the whole year, which is the minimum, 1 year, no? So it's hard. There is not too many flats that we could see.
This apartment behind us, this apartment here, is where we've been staying, and it's basically empty. There's probably a small handful of people who are actually living in that block.
If you still manage to find some long-term rents, one of the main things that you need to be aware is about the scammers. Yeah. So people using this website, Idealista, which is the number one website to find a flat. And you need to be careful. we already have a situation, the first, the second time, that someone, there was a very nice flat with a, I don't know, it was a little bit red flag of how cheap it was, but I still kind of asked this Catherine woman.
She wanted money just to look at the flat, which is obviously crazy. No one's going to pay money before you've seen an apartment.
Yeah, that was very bizarre.
So obviously not going to do that. 100% no.
Well, I think you have to be very stupid to fall in those things. But anyway, just be aware that that's going to happen. And then the other one is that we find some flats as well that they are owned by people from East Europe or Russia. And we find this guy, Nikolai. It was very fun.
Nikolai is your classic, what you would think of a Russian gangster. This was Nikolai. Big, broken nose, intimidating. One of the other problems we're having is this checking your history. We'll talk about that in a minute. But one of the ways to get around the problem of not having a history, financial history in Spain or Spanish pay slips is, he said, well, if you pay me 1 year's rent up front, we won't do the check. So, and then he actually just started saying, okay, so all the illegal immigrants that come over, they have somewhere to live, and the reason they get somewhere to live is because they all get together. They'll get eight guys, all putting their money together to give him a year's rent, so they don't do the let's check your history. And because in Spain they have a big problem with squatters. In the law in Spain is if you're in a property for longer than 48 hours and you start squatting, you can't get them out legally. You can't get them out for a minimum probably of 3 months, and all the financial costs that go to get someone out.
So that's why the reason that now is a thing, everybody, even private landlords or agencies, they're gonna ask you for a credit check.
So the agents will want to do a background check on you, and basically like a credit check. And because you have no working history, no financial history in Spain, because I'm English, Maria's Spanish.
And I've been 12 years working in London.
She's been in 12 years, yeah. So basically we have no history in Spain. Even though you're Spanish, but you've been out of the country so long that, you're like me now. And they won't take the risk of letting you move into an apartment. You don't pay, and then they can't get you out because of their crappy 48-hour law for squatters. So all the agents now and landlords are super paranoid. They're paranoid that you're going to get in there and then they can't get you out. So to get around this, all the agents and landlords now require you to do a background check and to have basically a financial history in Spain, which obviously is an issue. We're coming from England, from London to Spain, and we don't have any of that.
Mine is English, so this is what I'm trying. It's like, it's English, is that all right? I don't know, I have like mixed
bits of information.
Yeah.
Some agents say, no way, it's not going to happen. Forget about it. If you haven't got pay slips from a Spanish company, it's not going to happen. In the UK, when you get a rental, generally they make their money from the landlord. So the landlord pays them, they take a cut of the rent, and they manage the property for them. In Spain, they do that, except they try and bleed you for money. Now, most of the agents and landlords or landlord representatives, like Nikolai, say, okay, well, you pay me a month's rent and I keep that. That's my payment. Now you pay a month, 2 months deposit plus the month. So you're paying them like 700, 800 pounds for the privilege of doing business with them, which you just don't get that in the UK, but here it seems quite common, which is a lot of money, you know. It's a lot of money, 700 pounds, 800 pounds on top of the costs, not just the costs for the rent and the deposit, but obviously we're coming from the UK, you've got to hire a van, you know, it's going to cost a couple of grand just to get our stuff here.
Suscríbete, dale un like y activa las notificaciones.